Sideboards Creator Kits. Let's assemble your balance board. Part 2. Time for tools.
Wow. Okay.
Filming.
Okay, and we're back. We found an old skateboard deck, and it's in good condition. We want to stress that you should use a skateboard deck or your plywood in good condition. Shouldn't have any breaks in it, and always check that. This is just a standard 7-layer plywood. You can also use a 9-layer plywood. For the starter kit, we suggest either an 11 or 13-layer plywood. If you're over 200 pounds, definitely a 13-layer plywood. All right, so first thing we're going to do is decide which rail size we want. And I want the larger rail because I want to get more board movement. So with the kit that you get, trace or cut out your template. And we're going to use a larger one, so we're going to use this larger rail. And figure out where you want to put it on your deck. If you put the rail closer to the tail of your board, you'll notice that the foot that's on the tail of the board will get more weight distribution, so it's going to work a little bit harder. So you can either place it in the center or more towards the end. For this deck, I'm going to place it in the center, and I'm going to use the old truck holes as a guide. So I'm going to go right in the middle there. Line that up, make sure that it sits pretty evenly on the deck. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to tape it to the deck. Found some blue tape in the old warehouse there. Tape that down. Okay. If you're using a deck that doesn't have grip tape on it or natural wood color and you're going to be able to see, you can use a pen, and you want to mark right in the middle of this black rectangle here, right in the center, because that's the recess that you're going to find in the rail. So the bolt's going to go through the bottom of the rail here and into this recess. So you have a little bit of play, so if you're off a little bit, it's okay. There's a little bit of adjustment. So what I'm going to do for this is use an old nail or a pin and this old hammer, and I'm going to take my placement right in the middle there, and I'm going to tap a mark. Okay, then I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark all of them. Alright, so we have the holes marked, took the template off. What I suggest is that you use some scrap wood on the bottom, because when you drill you don't want to splinter the bottom. And let's get our safety gear on. And we're back. Here at the Sideboardatory, we always stress safety. If I'm yelling, it's because I can't hear a thing. Alright, now you want to get a 3/16" drill bit, because that's the size of the bolt. I have here a countersink tool, and what that does, it will widen out the top of the hole so that the bolt sits nice and flush. If you don't have a countersink, you can use like a 3/8" drill bit, widen the hole really shallow, and then shoot for the middle with the 3/16. So you can try that. So we're going to find our mark, drill straight down. Here's my first one. I'm going to find that, and we're going to drill straight down. Okay, there's our first hole, and we're going to go through and find the other ones. Alright, have all my holes drilled, and now what we're going to do is place the bolts into the holes and turn it upside down. And one or two might fall through, that's okay. Put the rail together. I've found that it's easiest to attach the rail when the whole thing is put together. Okay. And then place the rail right over the bolts. And in there. That one fits. Alright, we've got our rail on the board. And what I like to do first is to attach the ends of the rail. Now you'll notice on this rail that it doesn't sit flush, so what I'll do is I'll put some clamps on to hold it in place. But first thing I'm going to do is put the ends together. Now the nuts fit into a recess in the railing here. Come on. And it can be a little tricky to get in, especially if you have large hands. But what I found the easiest way to do is to turn it to the side and slide it in. And then turn it flat. And you want to slide it right above where the bolt is. So I'll do the same with this side and turn that right above the bolt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it, I'm going to connect it just so that it grabs. I don't want to tighten it down all the way, otherwise it may tweak the rail. Okay. And then you'll have some problems. So I'm going to put the rest of the bolts in there and tighten it up. Okay, so I was using the impact drill, and it sounds like sometimes it's stripping it, but that's just the way the drill is. As you can see, it will also work really well with just a regular hand screwdriver. I'm going to finish screwing in this one, pull that in place. What you may have to do, you may have to just push that nut all the way down to the bottom to get that in there. And hand tighten. Don't want to strip it, just tighten it enough where you can see that the bolt is sticking up through the nut, or that it's catching with the nylon. Now another thing is, if you just can't get the nut in, what you can do is reverse thread a nut and bolt. So I took a bolt, reverse threaded it, so the threads are going through the end of the bolt, and then I'm going to line that up with where the bolt is in here. Line that up here, that right there. Tap that in place. Tap that down, and then I'll reverse thread that out. Okay, get that in place. There's the bolts, and there it goes. Okay, so a couple more threads. Now, as I also mentioned, that sometimes you just can't, you might not be able to get it to connect because it's sticking up. What you can do for a little assistance is take a clamp and clamp that down really tight so that it will bend. The rail will adjust for slight bending, and then you can finish off with your hand tighten or with a drill. Okay, and that is it. That's our skate kit on this old really thrash board that I actually got at some skate shop for like $5. And we're going to grab a ball. Wah, wah, wah. Here we go. So that took about 15 minutes. We're going to place the ball on the ground on the end of the rail so that it's at an angle. I want to step on the side, touching the ground, on the outside of the rail. So you want to go wider than the rail. And then pop your foot on to the left side. Gently shift your weight. And we're up. Woo! Nice. Ta-da! All right, any other questions about sideboards, give us a call, send us an email. We're happy to help. Okay. So, anyway, with the drill, I don't know if I can do this to me. Okay, and we're back. Safety first. At sideboards, as a sideboard tour here, we like to have a little fun. But we like to protect the little eyes and ears. With the drill, 8 quarters. I'm going to place them on my left elbow. And I'm going to touch them in my right hand. With one foot movement on my arm. Ready? Okay. Whoa. Oh, dang.